Our next guest coming up today is a friend of mine. She's been around me for a while doing some things in the entertainment industry and doing some things in sports. And I want to bring her on the show today. Her name is Sharon Blacknall. We want to bring Miss Sharon Blacknall into the show today. Sharon, how are you today? Welcome to Swade Soul. How you doing?
Hello, I'm excited.
Absolutely glad to have you here today. And I just thought that, knowing you, you're such an interesting person, and I felt that your story needed to be told in some way. And I think the world of you and your significant other. Okay, so I want to make sure that we get a chance to talk about some unique things that are going on in your life and things that you've been a part of. So I want to welcome everybody to Miss Sharon Blacknall. Sharon, let's talk about, first of all, just you growing up, where you grew up at. Let's talk about that.
Wow. So I have kind of a eclectic background. I'm the daughter of a 30-year Air Force Chief Master Sergeant who wanted to travel the world. So the agreement was with my mom, we could be overseas until it was time for me, because I'm the oldest, to go to high school, and we had to come back to the States. So most of my childhood was in Italy and Germany, with a few stops here and there in the States. I'm that kid who, been competitive. My dad wanted one child, He was so arrogant, he thought that God was going to give him a boy on the first shot. And he got me. So he raised me to be kind of a little tomboy, but very competitive. So I'm thankful for the experiences that I got, because, when you go to school overseas, they have these little show and tell things. And I'll never forget, it was me and this other little black girl in class, and we were competing. So every time we go up there for show and tell, everybody else would have their little broke down, Tonka toy or Barbie doll, and she would have a postcard from somewhere her dad brought her. So finally, I'm like, Dad, every time we had show and tell, she went to, Austria, she went to this place. He's like, oh yeah? So my dad takes that as game on. Where do you want to go? So I'm that kid that got to go to Austria, and run through the fields like The Sound of Music. Yes, I am dating myself. Don't you say anything, Harold. He took me to Pisa. I wanted to go back then. They let you go to the top of the Leaning Tower of Pisa. So we went up there. We took a picture. I wanted to go down Venice and the gondolas. I thought all those kids grew up like that. Boy, it was a culture shock for me when I came back to San Antonio for high school. I was like, oh Lord, where has he brought me?
Wow. Well, in New Orleans, growing up in that area, as a child, we hear all these different things about New Orleans and just some of the background, especially from the time frame you grew up in. What were some of the unique experiences that you think came from that childhood?
So in between all these assignments, we would always come back to Louisiana. I was born in the same town that my parents were born in, and it's Opelousas, Louisiana. And Opelousas was very, very small. I remember my mom would hesitate to bring us back because she was so happy to get out of there. But for lack of better words, and I love Opelousas and I love my Louisiana culture and people, but back then, when you would come back, it was almost like a third world country. There's no other way to describe the beliefs and some of the things that my grandmom and them would say to me, it's like, what? I understand now why my parents were so adamant to raise us elsewhere, because they wanted us to see an expanded view of the world. But it was pretty different.
Wow. Okay, so I know later on, as you got older in life, you decided to take a stand and join the military. And give us your take on what brought you to that mindset.
Well, my dad ended up having two more girls. He gave up. He said, "I'm not getting my boy." And he used to always say, "One of you is going to go in the Air Force like me." And my mom used to say, "Sharon, it's going to be you. You're the most like him. Just the other two, I just can't see them going in the military." So I started college at UTSA, and then I ended up transferring to Grambling State University. And Grambling was a great school, great experience. I unfortunately had the bad luck of running across a stalker and had to leave school. And so my next thing was I might as well go into the military. Now, when I joined the military, I joined thinking that I was going to be an air traffic controller or something of that nature. And it wasn't until finished basic training and they're handing out the orders for tech school, and I see I'm going to Keesler, and I'm like, what is this switching electronic field maintenance? What is this? I got the wrong orders. They're like, no, your dad pulled some strings and got you in this. I was so pissed, but he kept telling me, he says, you have an aptitude for electronics, because I'm that kid that was building ham radios with him at home. So he said, you have opportunity to be the first Black woman to work on the SACDIN, which was the strategic network that defended the West Coast. You can be the first Black woman to maintain the machines. And I'm like, so I don't want that. But, went ahead, I'm one of those kids, I'm competitive. There were 47 of us that started, 7 of us graduated. So that started my thing in electronics.
Okay, so and then where did that take you as far as what led you to, you did how many years in and what led you to leave that branch?
I did 4 years right before I was supposed to re-enlist. My father passed away, and my sisters were still in school, and my mom had a rare eye disease, and I wasn't sure if she was going to need me more, and I couldn't get stationed here in San Antonio because of my AFC. So I decided to get out. I ended up working for a guy that I worked for in the military, and he called me up. He said, "Hey, are you ready to do it again?" I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "I work for this company called Anacomp. They've never had a Black female field engineer." What? He's like, "I know you can handle it." So it was in LA. I did my time out there in LA. A lot of interesting things. Got mugged, whole nine. That's a whole nother story. But I ended up transferring to Las Vegas. And Las Vegas, I had about, I think, right under 50 something accounts when I started. But one of my accounts ended up being, because of my clearance from the Air Force, Area 51. And then my other clients, I had Citibank, the big branches out there, and the casinos. And Mirage Resorts was in the process of opening up Treasure Island. So I was helping them on the back end get all the stuff ready for Treasure Island, because I don't know if a lot of people know this. All the casino records every record, from the front desk to the markers on the tables to dining checks, and they all have to be microfilmed. So that was my specialty. And in setting that up for them, they offered me a job. So I came to work for the Mirage and finished helping to open Treasure Island. And I cut my teeth on business, under Stephen and Bobby Baldwin, and that whole management crew, which was great. It was a family. And they taught me a lot about business.
Wow, that sounds really heavy in that game. Okay, so now you start working in that area, okay, and I know some unique stuff about you, so I want to just, you can touch on it as deep as you want to, but I know if eventually you ended up working with something that we all find fascinating to us nowadays, and that was working at a classified area that was off limits. So
La
could you
La
tell us a
Land.
little bit
I
about
call
that?
it La La Land.
La La Land.
I don't say that much about it. It was a very, very unique experience. How do I want to say this? I had the opportunity, once I left the company Anacom that had brought me to Vegas, to continue as a contractor to work out there, and I turned it down. I really don't talk about it much, and you know this, Harold. I just say people just need to be very open-minded about life in general, and don't be so arrogant to think that we're the only people in this universe. And I'll leave it at that.
Understood. Okay, so you moved on, and out of that experience, you decided after working for a while under that whole regime in the Las Vegas casino experience, you decided to make a change in life. So let's go there. What happened then?
Well, after I opened Treasure Island, I also opened Bellagio, and then I flew down and opened up a Beau Rivage in Mississippi. And most people in the casino industry, they'll tell you they'll make it through one casino opening, and then they're done because it is so intense. After my third one, I was burnt out and I was done. And I knew it was time to make a change when I drove up one day, parked, and I saw my boss drive up, and I waved at him. And I was on the phone talking to my mom, and she said, "Well, aren't you going to go in?" I said, "No, it'll take him about 10 minutes to get to his desk." I said, "I'm going to call in sick." She said, "But he saw you." I said, "Yeah, but I can't do this, Mom. I have to go and figure out what I want to do." And I was interested in real estate. And so I started looking at trying to be an agent. And then the more I thought about it with my patients, I'm like, I don't want to drive people around all day looking at houses and this and that. What else can I do? So I thought, I'm good with computers. I'll do the appraisals. So I signed up. I went to school at night to get my appraisal thing. And the weird thing is, the guy who was teaching it happened to be the chief appraiser for Clark County, Nevada at the time. He pulled me to the side and he said, "You're acing every test. I have no doubt that you're going to do well in this." He says, "But I got to tell you something." He said, "I don't really know any Black female appraisers here in Las Vegas." He said, "Las Vegas is still a little bit like the Mississippi of the West." And there we go. It's like, okay, here we go. Hold my beer. Watch this. I've been the first one in other things. I'll do this. So every day we go to class, people were saying, "Oh yeah, I got my internship locked up with X, Y, and Z," and it got to the end, and I had been calling and calling and calling. The 67th person. That's how determined I was that I was going to be an appraiser in Las Vegas. 67, and the lady was like, "Sure, come by the house," because everybody, they would see my resume and this, that, and the other, and then when I would go to meet them, they're like, "Oh," you'd see that kind of look like, "Yeah, we'll get back with you." So I went to meet her, and she's like, "When can you start?" Okay, as soon as possible. So I did my internship with her. I opened up my own appraisal company, ended up being rated one of the top 3 companies for D.R. Horton in their new homes division, in the building division. So that was my thing for appraisals.
Wow. Okay. So eventually you had a change and you decided to move back to the East Coast, or to more side the Midwest. And what led to that scenario?
My mother became sick, and she needed help. And so me and my husband talked about it, and our kids were grown and on their own. So I sold my house, closed my business, and we moved back to San Antonio. Best decision I ever made, because when I got here, the doctors were telling me, she had a couple of weeks, and I'm like, hold my beer, watch this. She ain't going nowhere yet. I'm not ready for her to go. So they were amazed, but I was blessed, and my sisters, that we had 6 more months with her. And during that time, I had the time of my life with her. I got to know her on a different level. And I would take her chemo and this much. I mean, doing this, and this. And she would tell me, "I always see you doodling. What are you doing?" And I'd always been involved in missing child prevention agencies and child abuse prevention agencies, and inner city games with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Elaine Wynn in Vegas. And I told her, there's a gap out there. All these programs start at age 6 and up, the quote unquote stranger danger. I said, but the kids that are being abused or being snatched are in the 3 to 6 year olds. So I would draw these characters, and I had in my mind in these scenarios where we use numbers and the alphabet. So as the preschoolers, kindergartners, first graders are learning to count in their ABCs, they would learn a safety rule. So I would show her these things, and she's like, "Oh yeah," because my mom was a substitute teacher at elementary schools and a pediatric nurse. And she says, "That's great." So she said, "Make me a promise. If something happens to me, you're going to take that, make it a book, so you can go out and, basically help a lot of kids." So I kept my promise. I wrote the ABCs and 1, 2, 3s of child safety. I started the nonprofit Military Veterans Against Child Abuse. And we go out to child development centers, to elementary schools, and we're teaching. It's a 30-minute class. We're teaching these kids about safety. I was doing a seminar, and a lady passed by, saw the book, lost her mind over it. She said, "If you could turn this book bilingually," she says, "we will buy this, the city of San Antonio, and put it in every Head Start classroom to teach kids their alphabet and safety, and your book could be used as an ESL tool." Hey, within a month, had the second one, had the book redone bilingually. They bought it. It's in the Head Starts. So, that's kind of where it all started, for me right now. We grew the characters up a little bit, and we have another program called How to Deal with Strangers Safely. And that's for the second grade through fifth graders, because a little girl was approached and almost abducted, and an elementary school called, and they wanted all of their kids to go through this program. So we came up with the program. At the end of the program, I'll never forget it, this little boy came up to me, because I break it down in terms that these kids can understand. They do not understand, do not talk to strangers. Please, parents, hear me. Stop saying don't talk to strangers to your child, because your child does not understand exactly. And when I say child, I'm talking like 8 years old and younger. They don't understand exactly what constitutes a stranger. And the way that I know this is when I do these seminars, I always ask the question, what is a stranger? All these hands go up. And you would be amazed that these kids are saying, oh, it's a guy who's real scary looking, and he wears a mask like real scary. He looks like the Joker. Or it's a mean old witch. They come up with all these scenarios, and out of all those kids, you'll only find one or two who will say it's somebody I don't know. So we break it down into, good trusted adults, tricksters. For whatever reason, kids will understand what a trickster is. So after I did this one seminar, the little boy came up to me and he says, so you mean to tell me that the man who keeps coming to the park and offering to cook for me or buy me games is a trickster? There was the principal standing there and the school resource officer, the school police officer, and everybody just froze. And I put my hand up, because if you overreact, kids will shut down. So I sat down next to him and I said, tell me about it. Well, we discovered that mom had a new boyfriend and was sending the little boy out to the playground by himself while the boyfriend would be in the house. And there was a gentleman who was approaching him. So long story short, then it got reported to Metro PD, sex crimes unit, all of that got involved, CPS. It turns out they did a scene. The guy was a recently released child abuser. So he was grooming the little boy. So that's my gut. That's my thing. I want to empower these kids to keep themselves safe, because parents, we're failing them. And I have, I'm working on another book right now, Growing Up Safe and Unafraid. And it's a parent's guide to child safety, where I tell you different little things that a lot of people may take for granted, but young parents do not know. So I'm trying to educate not only the kids, but their parents at the same time. I'm sorry. I rattle. You gotta cut me off.
Amazing. That was a great story. I'm glad you told that. Okay, and so now, as you sit here and you've helped all of these people, all the way from people make money in the casino world to now with kids. Now you focus on helping in nonprofit ways, and your love for veterans by being a veteran. I want to know, that led you into starting to get into a whole nother layer. You moved into the entertainment of sports world. So let's talk about that. How did that come about?
A gentleman that my husband and I knew, he's another veteran. He decided to open up a ABA team and asked me. I had met him through my nonprofit because he got my book into their library in the town where he was. And so we started off with him. I was the general manager. My husband was one of the assistant coaches. We went through the season with him. I saw how the ABA was working, a lot of the budgeting and all of that I previously learned through the casinos. It came into hand with doing player contracts, trying to get sponsorships, etc. But there was a underlying difference in just in the viewpoint of how he wanted to do business and how I felt business should be done. So we parted ways at the end of the season. And the trainer at the time from that team, Nate, approached me and my husband and asked if we would be interested in getting our own team. So I'm like, yeah, So the TriCity AllStars of San Antonio is my ABA, the American Basketball Association's team. It's 7 partners. It's Nate, myself, my husband, Johnny Moore, who is a San Antonio Spur legend, Von Coker, who is a retired Command Master Chief in the Navy, and Dean Medlick and Mark Gonzalez. And we had this vision of just doing everything above and beyond. And our motto is All Stars Rise Above. So anybody who tries out for a team or is a part of our organization, they have to do things above and beyond. Through the ABA is where I met you, and we got to know each other better. We worked together more when we were doing the ABA Gold, and you asked me to be the COO, and we have, I'm losing track of how many projects we have worked on together since. It seems like we grew up together.
It seems exactly. I mean, I've seen a lot of growth in both of us on the business side and everything else. But and let's. I mean, hey, we have to give credit where credit due. Your team last year went undefeated, so let's give a little shout out on that part. Give a little love on what happened with that. How'd that happen? I mean, to go undefeated in the ABA is already one of the hardest things to do. Well, how'd you do it?
We ended the season at 16-0, and we were number 1 in the South Central region. And the ABA had 175 teams, and we were ranked number 3 in the nation at the end of the season. So I am very, very proud of the whole organization, from the players to the coaches to the support staff. I really want to give a special shout out to the players, because there were games where, due to different circumstances, we were outmanned, and my players, I would see them go over there and lace those shoes a little bit harder, and because these teams were coming for us, and they had heart. They were disappointed, when the season got cut short, because we were all looking forward to going to the championships, playing in the finals. And due to Corona, we're sitting this season out, but we're going to come back bigger, stronger, and hungrier in November 2021. Right now.
Well, let's dig a little deeper. Let's dig a little deeper into that, because we talk about your team right now, and you're a female owner of a pro basketball team. Okay, we know that's a rare find, because you're a female African American owner of a pro basketball team. So let's talk about how that even makes sense, because this is a pro league, because players are depending on the relationship with their owner and the owners of the team. Their compensation goes many different ways. It's up to the particular team owner to make that happen. So how has the ABA allowed you to be able to be a part of something that really has been kept as a taboo scenario away from women being in any kind of control of?
I have to give credit to Joe Newman for that, the chairman of the ABA. He has a philosophy that, he opened the ABA ownership up to everyone. The ABA ownership is 75% minority owned by minorities, females. We have, I lost count now, I think it's 13 female owners. One thing, you cannot be shy and you cannot be intimidated, and I look at the guys on my team, everyone calls me Mama B. That's my name. And I look at the guys on my team as I look at, my own son. And they're just an extension of my family. And I talk to them about, what are you going to do when the clapping stops? I want to know that they have a plan B. I want to know that everything that they're doing now to advance their careers, they're doing to the highest degree, and I tell them to take advantage of the wisdom from the coaches, from Johnny playing, in the NBA, and from both assistant coaches having played in the military and in college and whatnot. I'm like, use that knowledge. But I'm the one that I'm not scared to get in your face. If I got to stand up on a chair so I can see you eye to eye because you're that much taller than me, I'm going to do it. And my motto, and they'll tell you, is Mama B didn't raise no punks. And what I mean by that is, one, there's no whining allowed. You have to be able to strap up them bootstraps, and maybe that's the military, because we're majority military owned. 4 of the 7 owners are prior military. So we run a
discipline in play that just kind of
that discipline. Yes. And we're not everyone's cup of tea. There are players out there who are used to being catered to and kind of willy-nilly all over the place and not responsible. Hey, we let you know this. No harm, no foul. It's just not going to work out. But I do make a promise to everyone that does come to play for us and stays with us. We will do our best to get you to the next level. We will do our best if you need a resume done, if you need references, whatever you need, we will help you. I'm very proud of our point guard, who really was the heart and soul of our team. And I think Johnny almost cried saying goodbye to him. Brendan Jones, but he made a life choice that he wanted to go into the Navy, and I fully support him in that. Sad to see him leave, but happy because he's looking at his future and what he wanted to do in life, which is be a linguist, and that's going to take him far.
Absolutely. So now, on the horizon, I know that you're working on a big project right now. So, you're working on a couple big projects, but let's go a little bit into the international project that you're working on right now and what you're moving in on.
Right now, I'm, along with you, we are working on Bertram Village, which is going to be a township in Eleuthera, Bahamas. I am the VP of admin, and we've been working on this now for a while. I was honored to be asked to do the budget for it, and that's where my skills from the casinos were crucial, because I was in charge of multi-million-dollar budgets there, and because I had 6 areas that I had to account for, and we're at a $19 billion township that's going to have everything from gaming to universities to hospitals, schools, retail, you name it. We're going to have a wellness resort. We're going to have hemp facilities. where we produce hemp, and we're going to have the hemp research area connected with the university. So I'm very, very excited to see what is going to come to fruition when that is done.
Wow, you've been a wealth of information, and definitely one of the few people that I know that can touch a lot of spaces, all the way from handling money to being able to handle guys that maybe have fathers and don't have fathers. They hold a basketball in their hand. So to me, it's a blessing to have you, one, in my life and on the show. So thank you for being part of
Oh,
the Swade Soul
thank you.
show. And we know, tell everybody again, the books again that are out there, again, what are the names of them, and I'm gonna make sure that they know the website again to go to, if they are. So
Yeah.
please let them know the books
Yes.
again.
The primer is the ABCs and 1, 2, 3s of safety, and that's the English only version. And then the bilingual version is ABC Learn Safety with Me. And then I have a book coming out, Growing Up Safe and Unafraid, A Parent's Guide to Child Safety, which I'm really excited about, because not only will I give you those child safety tips, I'm also a certified life coach. So I will be giving parents tips just to keep their own sanity and how to approach kids and keep your kids safe, mainly empower them to keep themselves safe.
We thank you
Oh,
again.
and let's not forget the other venture that we're a part of. It's like, what day is it? What hat do I have on right now? I'm sorry. I'm an
What day,
honorary
I go what hour. So I get it.
honorary board member for the Humanity Coalition, which I'm excited, to do things that we're going to further try to bring humanity and civility back to this world.
That
A part of the
that website is humanitycoalition.org. Okay, and then
hip.org.
we have some unique partners that we're been working with for years. Miss Elise Kirkland,
Yes,
Ryan
yes.
Foster, we have Justin Todd, Lisa. So I mean, we've got a really
And
strong.
yes, with Isolate Empire. And we're building an empire over there, dealing with wellness. I'm excited about that. And then we have Hip Hop Motorsports also. So it's quite a few different ventures there. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to be when I grow up. But it's been a fun road.
I would agree, wherever it goes. So again, we're
Yeah.
right now in the middle of an election where we stuck at. We don't know where we're gonna be by tomorrow. So when people see this, you'll know that this is kind of the stage where we were. But how do you feel about the future going forward? And what do you see for humanity? I mean, just in general with everyone, what would be your advice on that side?
First and foremost, be kind always. Somewhere along the way, we've lost compassion and empathy, and I think we really need to get back to that. No matter who the leader is, okay, people really need to put themselves and have empathy for other people and put yourselves in their shoes. I mean, we've become so divided, and being that kid that grew up overseas most of her life, and I know how they looked at America then, and then to see the way that we're being looked at now, it hurts. We've lost respect, and the military in me. Not only am I a military brat, I'm a military veteran. I'm the wife of a veteran, and in my family, we have 34 people who are either active duty now or are veterans. So when people talk about, being patriotic patriotic and this and that. I tell them, don't come at me with that, because your great grandfather was, whoever in the Civil War. I have 34 people who some of them have lost their lives and have put it all on the line for this country. I want to see us get to a point where, and it may sound, I'm being a Pollyanna, but it's my core belief. I want us to get to a point where people are dealt with on the content of their character and not what their skin color is. People look at me and I tell them, don't just see a black woman. See all the stuff that I've done. See all the stuff that I bring to the table. Respect me for that. And it hurts me. It really hurts me to see where we are right now as a country. All the name calling and the fighting and the this and that. We just all need to get in there and, hey, lace up them bootstraps. Everybody go for what you know. Let's work together. Let's find a way to just make it better. Because right now, my kids are 33 and 38. I know you have younger kids. And I know you and I talked about that. That's a concern that you have. What kind of world are we leaving for them? But when I do these seminars and I'm out there talking to these kids, that's when I get a glimmer of hope, because these kids they get it. They get being bullies and being kind and all of that. They're going to be the ones that are going to have to fix our screw ups, unfortunately. But I have faith. I have to have faith.
Well said. And I want to thank you for coming to the Swade Soul show today. And we'll look forward to definitely having you back on here when we got some new ventures in play that I want you to speak to everybody about. So thank you so much, Miss Sharon Blacknall, on Swade Soul show. So, so this is
everybody be blessed.
We are conducting a great interview with Miss Sharon Blacknall. She's been a friend, someone that I've known for a lot of years. She's someone that you need to know in the future. So again, this is H-Dub and the Swade Soul, and we thank you for another edition of the Swade Soul Show.